Everybody, it's yours truly, Jay Smoothie, and I'm here to bring you the coverage for Week 16. And this week, folks, I'm joined by a special guest, somebody I've been trying to do this with for a while, and I'm glad I finally got him. I got my homie, Teddy T, here. Teddy, what's going on, bro?
Oh, not much, man. Just enjoying this beautiful Alaskan sub-freezing temperature weather.
I was about to say, man, you are in quite the interesting place in Alaska right about now.
Oh yeah, man. I'm tired of seeing snow though. I am ready for spring.
Oh, I'm right there with you, bro. It's funny because I always think the weather is bad here, but then I remember you're literally in an ice box out there in Alaska.
I'm in an ice box. I mean, the only thing I haven't seen is a polar bear, but I've seen bears, wolves, moose every day. I'm sick of it though. I hear there's like a cold spell going through the Midwest now too, though.
Yeah, man, it's starting to move all around right about now, especially in the Midwest. Actually, it's funny you say that because our first game, the Bills and Bears, it's supposed to be the second worst game weather-wise of the week. I think it's in Chicago, and I believe the last time I looked at the weather, like just scrolling down it now, it's going to be 9 degrees at kickoff. Holy.
Okay, yeah, that's a brutal Chicago day then.
Ooh, that is a brutal Chicago day. Buffalo is favored by 8. The over-under is 40.5. I mean, it's pretty much clear that the Bills are going to beat the shit out of the Bears. That's pretty much obvious. But what I wonder about the Buffalo Bills is can they gather enough momentum for the playoffs? Because their big mission is to gain revenge from last year, basically just bottoming out last year when it came to the playoff run. And I mean, for Chicago at this point, only thing they're fighting for is draft positioning. Because even though Justin Fields is finally, playing the way we thought he would, we can tell there's so many fucking holes on Chicago's team.
Yeah, so in this game, I kind of see the Bills jumping out to an early lead. I don't know if that 8.5 is safe, just because I'm not sure how much they're going to play people. Because it's going to be cold, like you said, the weather's going to be terrible.
Right.
I think Chicago really doesn't have anything to play for, so I'm not sure how much they're going to try.
This
Um,
this is true because actually, just looking at the standings, actually, if I got the standings beside me, hold on, I'll have to put up here. But as you said, they're 3-11, so I can imagine they're at the bottom of their division, and they're one of the worst teams in the league. I don't believe they are the worst. I believe the worst is the Texans. So, if anything, they have a top five draft pick, and like you said, at this point, the only thing they really have to fight for is draft positioning. And even if so, you don't really want to win at that point. You want to lose.
so what I'm seeing right now is they currently have the second pick. So yeah, I'm assuming they're not going to try that hard in this game, even though it is at home.
Right. I agree with that 100%, man. What do you think about the? Well, so yeah, the Bills are definitely going to take it. I would stay away from the spread personally because I think they're going to put up 3 touchdowns on them.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't like cold weather games because they tend to run the ball more. I know Buffalo's a cold weather team itself. It's just
Right.
I don't really see the spread hitting here, and I don't really like that over under. I guess if I had to pick, it'd probably be the Bills. I don't like it though.
Yeah, same here. I'm gonna go Bills and the under myself because, like you said, it's gonna be a lot of running. One thing noticeable about Chicago, their leading tackler, Roquan Smith, was traded to the Ravens. So ever since then, their defensive tackling has been fucking horrible. Like running backs have been running through them, and I imagine if the Bills get their running game going, I can see them putting up some, at least 200-300 yards on them just on the ground alone.
Yeah, I mean, Bears have so many holes. They have holes on offense and defense. Roquan Smith. I don't know why they did that trade, but that was odd. And then Justin Fields really doesn't have much to work with because David Montgomery, he's always in and out of the lineup, and you don't really have a number one receiver for him. So at this point, they're better off tanking and getting a better pick. So yeah, let's go under and Bills to cover as well.
I like that. I like that a lot. And actually, looking at our second game, Saints and Browns, this is supposed to be the coldest game on the schedule. Even though it says 10 degrees, I've heard it's going to actually be 10 at kickoff and drop to maybe 5 or below by halftime. Cleveland is only favored by 3. Now, it's a tale of two teams because with Cleveland, like at first with Jacoby, they did okay, and I'm thinking, okay, if they win enough games and Deshaun gets hot, maybe they can run toward the playoffs. But Deshaun is rusty, and even before he came back, the Browns did okay, but I don't think they really did enough to lock up a playoff spot. And as far as New Orleans goes, they've pretty much fallen apart completely. And even though there wasn't like high expectations for them in the season, they certainly underachieved. I mean, Jameis certainly found his way on the bench quickly. Andy Dalton had to come in, and Taysom Hill has found himself catching passes more than throwing them these days. So it's like like New Orleans doesn't really know what they are, and it seems like the Browns. It like you would think they'd be on a run, but doesn't it kind of feel like they're preparing for next year with Watson?
I think so. I think the Browns, their center went on IR too, so I think that kind of screwed them up a little bit.
Yeah, that is true.
But
That is true.
r- right now, they're chasing the Ravens, which I don't trust in, and then the Bengals. I think they need this game more than the Saints because right now, if I look at the standings, yeah, Saints are a game back of the Buccaneers in that awful division. I think it means more to Cleveland. I don't know if they'll get the win. I really don't like this game either.
Yeah, and you know what? The fact that this game is going to have terrible weather means it's going to be a bad watch, and it's already bad enough considering, like in a game like this, I was thinking maybe beginning of the season it's Nick Chubb versus Alvin Kamara. We're gonna see who's gonna break out. But as you said, man, as the season's going on, the injuries have piled up, and you know the Browns never were quite the team that were in it, so to speak. They were just kind of in it by default because some of the other AFC teams were slacking a bit. But I'm right there with you. Can't really trust the Browns at this point because we haven't seen Deshaun develop and develop in this new system. And of course,
No.
I was about to say it's been rusty out the gate for him, and it looks like it's going to be that way for a while. And as far as the Saints go, they need to figure out something because between the quarterback situation being a mess, and they have nice weapons like Chris Olave, who's replacing. I think he's going to replace Thomas long term, but even so, they have a lot of fucking work to do, and it seems as if this is not going to be their year. And like you said, gonna be probably a tough watch. The Bills game will be a skull dragging, but this will be full on boring. Like I could easily see this being like a 9-6 field goal type of battle.
Well, I mean, the point total dictates that because I see 32 right now. That means it's going to be an awful game for sure.
Oh man, 32 definitely says a lot. I could easily see this being like a 9-6 or a 12-9 type of field goal battle. I'm gonna pick the Browns only because it's picking the less of picking the best of two terrible teams. But yeah, I'm right there with you. Not a lot of high hopes for the game, and definitely that under might hit actually.
Yeah, I think I'm going to go with the under in this one, and I think I just have to pick the Saints. I'll take the points because it's going to be an awful game.
Right. That's true. That's true. Definitely going to be one of the worst ones of the week. And speaking of terrible, the fucking oh yeah, this is going to be easy to pick. The Texans and Titans. Now the Texans have had two back-to-back very close games with the Chiefs, and then the one before that. I forgot who the fuck they played that they took to the limit. Um,
I think they played the Cowboys.
oh, that's right, the Cowboys, and they almost won that one. Now, even though they played close in both those games, it is still the Texans. And the thing with the Titans, losing Tannehill is actually bigger than it seems, even though he's clearly not the long term answer for them, which is why they have Malik Willis. The thing about Malik Willis is I've seen him in spots this season, and I can tell he's going to be a project, and a project quarterback is not what the Titans need, especially when they're kind of built to go on a run right now. And when you have a project quarterback like that, you can't really go too far. They're obviously not going to win anything significant, but they were a team that was kind of built to contend, and they lose Tannehill for the year. Now they got to bring Willis in, and they're pretty much going to run this fucking ball. Like they're literally just going to run it the entire game cuz I believe the last time Willis played, he threw like what, 8 passes?
Yeah, he didn't throw much. I'm very partial to
Yeah.
Willis, though. He won me a lot of money when he was at Liberty, so I'm a little biased towards him.
Definitely, I will say though, very exciting quarterback to watch at Liberty, and he's certainly somebody that's going to be big in the league. My thing is, obviously he needs the development, but I think once he gets there, he'll be a good quarterback. I don't like him. I mean, I like him in the spot only because it seems like Houston's trying to hold on to that number one pick. But yeah, I'm right there with you. Willis is very exciting from college. My only thing is, if we can see that translate in the Titans, like in the Titans system, he's gonna actually elevate that team if he can certainly fit in.
Yeah, I think it'll take time for Willis to get more reps in practice, everything like that. Right now, he's playing behind Tannehill, learning behind Tannehill. Not the best person to learn behind, but it's someone.
Absolutely, I agree with that 100%. And personally, I'm gonna go with the Titans here. I'm pretty sure you're gonna be in agreement with me. And even though it is 3 points, I feel like they're not. They're definitely not gonna cover that. I see this being a blowout. And let me see, what is the point total here? 35.5. Huh. I, you know, I'm kind of gonna go for the under here. I mean, I know that Houston has been hanging tough with teams lately, but I'm gonna go for the under because I think with a lot of running in this, especially with Malik Willis behind center for the Texans, they're gonna run heavy. They're gonna put up enough points to win, and then they're not gonna put themselves in any crazy positions unless they find themselves down.
Got you. Yeah, it is a division game, and I like that under. I think I'm going to go over, though, because I think the Texans are all right on offense. They're not the worst, but they're not the best. And Davis Mills can kind of move the ball around. So I'm going to go over there. The thing that worries me is
Interesting.
I
Okay.
don't know why this spread is only 3 points. Feels like the Titans should be minus 6 points because, I mean, the Texans are 1-12. I mean, what more can you say about that? So I am a little worried that it is minus three, but I'm going to go ahead, take the Titans minus three.
That's a good one, and you know what? I think part of that might be because of how close they played the past 2 weeks, like with the Cowboys and the Chiefs. But I'm right there with you. 3 points is a bit ridiculous for that line. I thought it would be. I actually thought it was gonna be at least like maybe like 6 or 8 points, maybe. But I didn't see fucking three. That seems way too low.
Yeah, I mean, both these teams have lost three in a row, but I think the Texans have played a little bit better. Maybe that factors into why it's only three. But the Titans have just been playing much better. So they
Absolutely.
should get the W. I hope.
Oh, no doubt about it. I think they're gonna get it, man. Especially for a game like this. If anything, it could be down to the wire since the Texans are starting to play better. But yeah, I think the Titans should get this one. Now, this one, I am curious about your opinion here. The Seahawks and the Chiefs. This has been a surprise season for Seattle, in my opinion, because I remember we talked about it before the season even started. I think we had Seattle kind of at the bottom because we didn't know what they were going to be or what the new team was going to look like without Russell Wilson. But as it turns out, the Seahawks have benefited from getting rid of him, which is something I didn't see coming. And now the
Yeah,
Seahawks find themselves 7-7. They're in the playoff hunt still. They're still in it, surprisingly. So I want to know what you think about their chances, not just here, but for the rest of the season.
I don't think they have a very high chance. I think they're
Oh
trending
wow.
downwards.
Hmm.
I think this is the true Seattle team that I thought I would see.
Right.
They're 1-2 in their last three. I mean, they really needed that Panthers win, and then losing to the Panthers, I'm like, okay, maybe we're not a playoff team, but
Hmm.
it's okay because we still have Denver's pick. Now for this game, it's you have a very hot Chiefs team that are trying to keep up with Buffalo and the Bengals. So yeah, this one I see kind of a blowout. I don't think Seattle has the pieces. I don't know if Geno Smith is a long-term quarterback in Seattle, like at all.
And you know what? That is an interesting point because I remember watching Geno Smith in West Virginia, and Gino was okay in West Virginia, and I never thought he was going to be much of anything in the NFL. And then he gets drafted to the Jets, a very late draft pick by the Jets. And then, of course, with the Jets, you're thinking, okay, at some point he's going to come in maybe in relief, or they're going to give him a shot, see what he's got, and he just bottomed out immediately. So when he went to Seattle, I'm thinking, okay, he can sit on the bench and he can learn. And he's learned, but one thing we've learned about Gino is that he's kind of just a game manager. Like he's not anything special, and with a lot of the wins, it's mainly the pieces around him that have done the work as opposed to him. And like you said, not a long-term solution. I wouldn't have been surprised if you guys would have gone with Drew Lock for the season over him. Like just because of what I've seen when comparing the two, and Lock isn't, he's not top tier either. But when I look at him and Gino, I'm like, they're not too much different. But I guess I guess Pete Carroll prefers Gino because he's a little more seasoned in terms of his experience. But even so, I'm very surprised at where Seattle is right now, even though they're only second in the NFC West. In this game, though, I do kind of agree. I don't see them winning this, only because with that spread being 10 points and with the over under at 49.5, I see Kansas City putting up some serious points at home.
I do too. I like both the over, and I know I was just bashing on Geno Smith, but that offense can score points.
That's
But I
true.
think they will cover against the Chiefs for sure.
Yeah, that's going to be an interesting one right there because the Chiefs' defense clearly is a work in progress still. But what I like about the offense with the Seahawks offense is that they find ways to score when they need it the most, and that's what's kept them in a lot of games. But lately, it hasn't happened, and they started to fall off a little bit. I think in this game, even though they will lose, yeah, I could see them at least putting up a fight for 3 quarters. Maybe in the fourth, the Chiefs start to pull away just a little bit.
I mean, you can only guard Kelsey for so many quarters before he finally breaks free. I
Right.
think that's what's going to happen here.
That's true. And how about the fact that Kansas City's been able to continue to stay at the top with no Tyreek Hill? Because you can tell with that offense, no Tyreek Hill makes a difference. But like you said, when you have Travis Kelsey out there, it's almost as if it doesn't even matter that he's gone.
I know, but that does concern me going into the playoffs. It's like, okay, well, you double up Kelsey. Who else you got on that team that can really burn you? Like Isaiah Pacheco, he's good. He's a nice, rookie running back.
Right.
But you have Jarek McKinnon backing him up, and it's like, man, you can't really go far like that.
Yeah, that's true, man. And McKinnon has been around a long time. I'm actually surprised he's still in the league. So, like you said, you can only go so far without a guy like Tyreek Hill, and we've started to see the Chiefs show some weaknesses, like in the playoff situations as of late. So, you know, really, this I thought the Jets were about to fucking miss that field goal right there, but uh, we've seen the Jets. I mean, I'm sorry, we've seen the Chiefs struggle in playoff situations as of late. So, what I do wonder is, can they get back to the Super Bowl and can they win it? Because not making it this past season, and not only was it a shock, it started to show a lot of the problems that they've had since the Super Bowl with Brady. You know what I mean?
It reminded me so much of those early Eagles, Andy Reid teams. It's like, can't break through the hump, can't break through the hump. And I know
Yeah,
the Chiefs have won, but he's lost a lot of those championship kind of games.
it's
Andy
true.
Reid.
It's true. Just last season, man. Last season was a heartbreaker. Like I expected the Chiefs to. I thought the Chiefs were maybe gonna go right back to the Super Bowl this past season, but the fact that they didn't make it, it was a huge disappointment.
Yeah, it's like, well, I am grateful my Seahawks are in the NFC because there's a lot of young quarterbacks in the AFC that I want no part of.
It
There's way too many young quarterbacks in the AFC that
it's
are good, talented quarterbacks for the next 10, 12 years.
It's true, man. And it's funny because when you look at the West Division right now, the 49ers have a playoff spot with a guy, with a quarterback that was drafted last in the draft this past year. It's like full on. Like the Cardinals lose Kyler Murray. The Rams are down to Baker Mayfield that they got from Carolina. And then you have the Seahawks in second place who are still intact. And it's like the West looks far different than what I thought it would be. And it's funny when I look at the AFC and NFC West divisions, I think those are the most disappointing of the year because I remember we thought that the Chargers, Raiders, and Broncos would push the Chiefs a little more, but then the Chargers, they're in second place, but they've been untrustworthy. You can't trust them. They're hot and cold. The Raiders, they've underperformed massively. It's almost as if McDaniels is still trying to figure out how to be a head coach. And then the Broncos fucking they completely fell on their face. I don't know what the hell happened there. Russell Wilson looks like Donovan McNabb when he left the Eagles, It's fucking I don't know what the hell happened there.
No, I don't know what's going on in Denver, but they have to change almost everything. I mean, because they mortgaged the future heavily for Russell Wilson. So you got to try and make that work at least.
Right. There's no way Nathaniel Hackett survives this. There's no way.
No, 0% chance.
Absolutely, because considering all the expectations and the fact that they haven't won a game in the conference, they're 0-4. I don't know. I'm sorry, in the division, they're 0-4 in the division this season. That is just unacceptable. They definitely got to get rid of him for that.
That's terrible. And then you would have the third worst quarterback in the division that you traded at least 2 first rounders for. It's like, what are you guys doing? That
Right,
doesn't make any sense.
right. They literally put themselves right back into a hole again, and now they're going with. It's funny you said because I believe Russell Wilson's not playing this Sunday. And he's being replaced by some quarterback I've never heard of before. So it's going to be a replacement versus Baker Mayfield. It's literally a clusterfuck now out there in LA and out in
Oh
Denver.
yeah, I mean, we were talking before we started, but yeah, that Broncos Rams game, it's going to be a real great game.
It is. Yeah, I know, right? Shit, that might be game of the fucking day with those two bench warming quarterbacks going at it.
I know
Oh.
you got to hang out with your family for that game. If not, you just don't love your family, I guess.
I was about to say you have to not love your family to watch that game from start to finish. Oh man, the next game is actually not bad. Now I'm shocked by both teams, but I'll say this: with the Giants, I kind of saw this one coming because once they hired the new coach and they got that guy from fucking Buffalo, I said, okay, they're gonna bring some. They're gonna basically like just overhaul everything and they're gonna redo the team. And so far it's been okay for the Giants. They still have a lot of work to do, but the real shocker here is Minnesota. Like I'm still trying to figure out how they went down 33 points in halftime and came back and won the thing. I don't understand that. I feel like that's a Jeff Saturday thing. Like we thought the Jeff Saturday hire as a coach was a clown show, and I guess it turned out to be that. Because the fucking Vikings have been lucky all year, and that was a prime example of it. Because I don't know, I can't really wrap my head around the fact that they were down. Literally, they were down 33-0, and then suddenly they storm back and they win in overtime. They nearly well they and actually no, the week before they were beaten by Detroit, and Detroit was favored in the game, which made no fucking sense to me. And like before that, they beat the Jets and New England. They lose to Dallas, get skull dragged by them. So it's like with Minnesota, it's almost like what team are you getting? Are you getting the team that's kicking people's asses, or are you going to get the team that's going to get skull dragged and not show up that day?
Well, I mean, I'm not going to lie. So last week I got off shift Saturday morning, watched a little bit of that Colts game, saw the Colts go up. I think it was 14-0. And then I went to bed because I thought, okay, this game is over.
Right.
I wake up and I saw the Vikings score. I'm like, okay, good for the Vikings. They won. I did not realize that they came back from 33-0 until later in the day. I'm like, wait, what the fuck happened?
Not only was it a huge comeback, apparently it's the biggest one in NFL history, which to me is complete insanity because that game was over. I watched it from beginning to end because it was like right before the UFC started that day, and I decided to look at it a bit and pretty much just kind of watch and see what would happen. I had as a prediction that the Vikings were going to win. I figured they win the game, and I thought it wouldn't be close. I'm thinking, okay, they're gonna wrap this shit up by halftime. By halftime, I changed the fucking channel, and I'm like, there's no way they're coming back. This game is done. It wasn't until I'd say about the start of the fourth quarter when they started roaring back when I flipped it. When I flipped it because I saw they were starting to score. I'm like, what the fuck's going on? And yeah, it was a complete collapse of the Colts in epic fashion. And with Minnesota, they went from a team that didn't show up to a team that was ready to win everything. Just take everything. And that makes me a bit nervous here with this matchup because with it, I mean, I guess we know they can come back, but how many times are they going to go down and have to storm all the way back? Because they've done that before and fallen short, but they've never done it in the way they did it last Saturday. But in this game, with everything the Giants have to like have on the line for them, because they did just beat the Commanders. They're still 2 games back of Dallas. Obviously, they're not going to catch the Eagles. They probably won't even catch Dallas at this stage. But for the Giants, they really need this one just to stay alive and just to keep their momentum going forward. I'm not 100% sure they can do it here, but at the same time, I don't know if I could trust Minnesota because in these spots, they do tend to lose. They already have a playoff spot secured, so they don't have too much to play for, I guess, other than home field advantage. So it's an interesting one. I'm gonna lean Vikings here, but again, it's one of those buyer beware type of situations.
Yeah, I think I'm going to lean towards the Giants just because Minnesota has less to play for.
Right, right.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so I'm going to take the Giants and the points. But just imagine for all of time until it's broken, Kirk Cousins single handedly led the Vikings down from the biggest NFL deficit. That's crazy to think about. Because I know Kirk Cousins. I watched him play in Washington. He was up and down, up and down. And to see him fucking make this great comeback makes me happy, but I know he's going to bite me in the ass some point down the road.
and that is the fear about Kirk Cousins because one thing about Kirk Cousins that's always stuck with him is that in big moments, in crunch time moments, he's always come up short. He's always come up short. He does have the Minneapolis Miracle to his credit, but like when you think about all the other moments, whether it was Washington, whether it was Minnesota, when he had a chance to really take the team over the top, it never quite happened. You know, he never really had that moment, that shining moment where he took the team over the top quite yet. So I'm with you. With Kirk, it's one of those we'll believe it when we see it type of things. This year 11-3, very good run, but I'm with you. When it gets crunch time, Kirk Cousins, man, it's gonna be time to fade him. And I hate to say it, but it's gonna be time to fade him at that point.
Exactly. I have this argument with my friend, shout out to Jazzy Jones, but is Justin Jefferson the best receiver in football right now?
Hmm. You know what? I think if he's not number one, he's top five. I think he's one of the best in the moment.
Yeah. I mean, because oh man, he looks so good every time he goes out there.
He
He
does
catches everything that's thrown to him.
right. And plus, he makes Kirk Cousins look a lot better than he actually is. Because we've seen Kirk before. And Kirk has never really had a weapon like this at his disposal. So for me, he's making Kirk Cousins look good in a way.
No, that whole Vikings team is stacked on offense. It drives
That's
me
true.
insane that they haven't gone farther. Because they have him, they have Dalvin Cook, two All Pro like a running back, All Pro receiver, and they have Adam Thielen, which he's a great
Right.
second receiver for sure.
Yeah, and
And they got T.J. Hawkinson from the Lions, so they should win the division easy every year.
absolutely. Like, even though they're going to take it this year, I'm with you. They should be able to snatch it pretty much every year. Their defense has a lot to be desired. That's the one thing I want to change a lot because those rookie corners get burnt quite a bit. Harrison Smith is aging, and they need a new safety back there. And the fact that
Yep.
Patrick Peterson is their best corner, and he's pretty much up there in age, is not very good for the future. I can tell you that. So I'm
Yeah,
right
they.
there. Oh, go ahead.
Oh no, they have to rebuild that defense, but the offense should keep them in every single game.
I agree. They're definitely good enough to keep them in, and like you said, as long as they score, really they should be in every game. I feel like they're gonna score a big time against the Giants. They're gonna take this one. The line is only at 4, so I could see them. I could see them taking it.
Yeah, I'm going to take the Giants +4. I do feel bad for Saquon Barkley. Had
Oh
a
yeah,
relatively healthy season, and it's just been kind of wasted with Daniel Jones. But it is what it is, I guess.
it's true, man. It's true. It is a shame that it seemed like all that potential was pretty much being wasted at the moment. This next game, Bengals and Patriots. Now, you want to talk about a team that's really fallen off. I mean, New England is showing they've shown ever since Brady left that it pretty much was him because Belichick can't make anything happen with Mac Jones. It seems like they're out of sync the entire time. The offense is not clicking. Matt Patricia is a terrible play caller too. That's being exposed big time in this one, and I'm not even shocked because in Detroit he was pretty terrible over there, which explains why they fired him as quickly as they did. Um, and the thing with Cincinnati, They came off the Super Bowl year. They're 10-4 so far this year. They've been brilliant in some spots. They've fallen flat in some spots, but I think this is a game where they can put up some big points, and I believe they can beat New England. I mean, considering the spread is only 3.5, and that the over under is 41.5, I could easily see them. I could see them having a big game on the ground. I could see Burrow pretty much getting hot as well, because that Patriot defense is not worth a damn. They can't hold anybody back.
No, and they really don't have any one to score. I feel so bad because I like Ramondre Stevenson, but last week that was just a dumb play.
It was. It was
That
a
was a stupid play.
Honestly, that play's gonna haunt them too. It's gonna haunt them for the remainder of the season, and it might haunt them for many of the seasons to come. Because not only was that lateral dumb, it was the fact that Chandler Jones caught it. Fucking Mac Jones tried to tackle his ass, had no fucking luck with it, and he just took off. And the worst part is the first lateral was risky enough. The fact that dude ran, like, he cut back and then threw the ball again. I'm like, whoa, my god, that was a setup for disaster. And I imagine Bill Belichick look at that shit like, oh my god, there goes my season. And they're only 7-7, and even though with that record they are in third place, I think they're out of it personally.
Yeah, I think they're out of it. They're 1-2 in their last three. Bengals 3-0, and I think getting Jamar Chase back has really changed their season around
Yes.
because he's such a difference maker.
He is, man. He is pretty much the key to that offense, other than Burrow. And the best part about it is the Bengals they're in first place. They're a game up on the Ravens, but personally, I see them taking the division as a whole because the Ravens have been trending in the wrong direction. The Browns are pretty much relying on Watson, and Watson looks like he's not even in season form yet because he's just getting away from suspension. And of course, the Steelers, they've been running with Kenny Pickett and Mitch Trubisky as well as an okay defense, but it's like it hasn't taken them anywhere, and they're pretty much out of it. So for the Bengals, they kind of need this one. If they get this win, they're pretty much going to wrap up the division because they're already a game up on the Ravens. If they're more than a game up, Ravens are definitely not going to catch them. For the Patriots, they're tied for third with the Jets, who are 7-7. If the Jets win tonight and the Patriots lose on Saturday, that means not only are the Patriots done, there's a good chance they're going to finish in last place, which is like you want to talk about an ultimate downfall of a team. The Patriots in last place, something I thought I'd never see, but it could very well happen.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't really trust the Pats. I think it might be time for Bill Belichick to hang it up. Matt Patricia's
Yeah.
a jackass. He don't know what he's doing. I mean, he was awful in Detroit, and then all I remember from him being in Detroit was him having that fucking pencil in his hat.
Oh man, he had the fucking pencil in his hat. He had some of the most terrible, terrible press conferences you'd ever see. Not to mention, every time he lost, he just looked more and more angry. But it's like he couldn't really blame anybody because it was his terrible play calling that caused every loss they had.
Yeah, I think I don't know what you do. And then have you seen Bill Belichick's son with like the faux hawk, kind of like the mullet thing?
Yeah, he looks fucking weird. Like he looks like he has
Oh,
a disease or something. He looks so
yeah, I
weird.
don't know what's going on down there. I don't know if you're a wrestling fan, but do you remember Spike Dudley?
I do.
He kind of looks like him. And I said, man, this is too odd.
Oh man, I haven't heard Spike Dudley's name in years. That is so true though. He looks weird. And what's even more strange is I can't even tell what his true role is because half the time when I look at him, he just has the same old face. He has the same old face every time, and Bill just always looks at him like, "Why the fuck are you over here?"
Oh yeah, no doubt. Bill Belichick threw at least 4 tablets on his way to the locker room after that. After that interception, for sure.
No doubt about it, man. I'm gonna go. Yeah, let's go ahead and fucking. I think the Bengals are gonna kick him in the face. This one shouldn't be a problem for him.
Yeah, I think Bengals all the way. They might hit that over by themselves too, but Bengals -3 is the pick for sure.
No doubt. I like that one. Lions and Panthers. Oh, that. You know what? I wouldn't have said this would have been an easy pick maybe a year ago, but it actually is. Detroit is surprisingly good, and I didn't see it coming. I thought maybe Detroit, like with Dan Campbell, I didn't think that he would be able to rally the team the way he did, but surprisingly, he's been able to do it, and he has a nice young core. Jared Goff actually looks decent, which is something I thought he wouldn't look after. Considering you go from McVay to Campbell, you wouldn't think it would be that much of an improvement. But surprisingly, he's playing okay, like good enough for them to win. And they're favored by 2.5 here, which is something you don't see often with the Lions. And since this is the Lions we're talking about, are they really about to go on a run, or are they about to collapse, bro? Because it seems as if Detroit should not be in this spot, and it's strange that they kind of are.
I think they're going to go on a run. I think they're going to lose in the playoffs at some point. That Buffalo game on Thanksgiving was a lot closer than people think. And I think they have a lot of pieces that they need. Maybe not this year, but maybe next year they'll contend with the Vikings. But this year, I think they're good enough where they can sneak in the playoffs. I like the running backs. Amon-Ra St. Brown, such a great receiver. Jared Goff is looking okay. And then I had to think to myself, well, who would you rather pick? Would you rather pick Dak or Jared Goff?
Right.
And then, I mean, if I'm asking this question and Jared Goff is on the Lions now, that's saying something.
It is saying something, man. And you know what? The fact that he's doing so well with the Lions is the fact that's really blowing my mind. Because when I think of Jared Goff, I always thought of a quarterback that would maybe do fine in a system where they wouldn't ask him to do too much. But in this system, the guy's pretty much taking control, not control of everything, but he's taking the reins for the most part since he is a guy that's been, in the Super Bowl before. And he seems as if he's very confident in the spot with the Lions. I didn't think I'd ever see that. I thought his career would go to die there, but the Lions are going to be a sneaky team when it comes to the playoff run. They are at 7-7, second place in that division. They're definitely not taking it though because they're 4 games back. But when you look at all the teams that are in the playoff hunt, Detroit, the fact that Detroit is even in there is a bit scary to me. But what I wonder though, are they about to be Detroit and bottom out? Because Detroit loves to choke whenever they're in spots like this.
I don't think so. I think that coach is different. He's
Yeah,
ready to fight any other coach. He's ready to do whatever he can to help his team win.
yeah. Finally, they have a coach that wants to fight people, and he's actually good. I think the last coach that wanted to fight people, McMillan, I think his name is, he was terrible, fucking
Oh,
terrible.
that was a while back, but yeah, I forgot about him.
Oh man, I remember when he was there for a while and he was trying to fight everybody. It's like it's great when you're winning, but when you're losing, it don't look so good.
No, when you're 1-9 and you want to fight coaches, it's not the best. If you're fighting for a wild card spot, okay, it's understandable, it's
Right.
acceptable.
Absolutely. And you know what? I'm gonna take the Lions. The fact that it's 2.5, I'm a little surprised by that. But you know what? I'm gonna go for the. I'm thinking maybe the over can hit because the Lions can score. The only thing is the Panthers are fucking terrible. Whether it's Darnold, whether it's PJ Walker, they traded away Baker Mayfield. I don't know what the Panthers can really do. This is gonna have to be the Lions show, really.
Yeah, I think I like the Lions to cover for sure. I think the Panthers will get at least 10 in this game. And it feels like the Lions can score at least 30, 35. Because I like that Lions offense because every time they have the ball, it's like, okay, they're moving, they're moving, they're moving. Even though they ditched TJ Hawkinson, which was a good move looking back. At the time, I'm like, what are you doing? It's a great young tight end, and you're getting rid of him.
Yeah, and
But they
actually,
look like they can score.
oh, absolutely. I actually thought Hawkinson was like one of their best weapons, and it seems like even though he is, I'm surprised they still were able to find other people for Goff to throw to. And yeah, man, it feels like this is a different Lions team. I'm certainly gonna have my eye on them though. It's one of those teams where if we bet the Lions, we better bet them in a good fucking spot because it is still the Lions, which is crazy to say.
Exactly. Maybe if it's like the Lions and Vikings round one, maybe. Because
Right.
it's a division game, all bets are off. It's like, go with whoever you feel. But I have a buddy that lives in Michigan, and he might hang himself if the Lions don't make the playoffs because he's all in on this season.
Oh man, Oh yeah, that does make a lot of sense. I can imagine the Lions fans are like, finally we have a fucking team.
Oh, he's ready to fight. He's about 5 feet tall, maybe 220 pounds. He's ready to fight everyone.
Oh man, I love it. Detroit deserves this too because they've been in NFL hell for fucking centuries. It feels like.
I haven't felt so happy for a team as. Do you remember when the Browns won a few years ago when they opened all those coolers of beer
Oh
for the fans? I
yeah,
felt so happy for them.
I did too. And even though they were in my division, I felt happy for them because the one thing with the Browns is, and they still kind of struggle with it now, they've always been just stuck. They've always been stuck, and it never felt like they were gonna get to the other side, and they finally fucking did.
No, they have a few good runs here and there,
Right.
but most of the time they're fourth in the division, fourth in the division. Especially when Marvin Lewis was there, because he was that was a hard division when he was there for sure.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. But yeah, we're definitely in agreement. We're thinking Detroit's gonna take that one. Now the next game, Falcons and Ravens. I have a lot of thoughts on this because the first thing that should be noted is that Lamar Jackson is not playing in this game. He's going to be out. I thought he was going to play, but apparently Harbaugh actually confirmed earlier today that he is not going to play, and that changes up everything for me. Even though the Ravens are favored by 6.5, here's the problem: the Ravens can't fucking score. Greg Roman needs to be fired. The offensive coordinator. His game planning is dog shit. He has a quarterback that can throw and run, but yet whenever the run works, like whenever the run game starts to work, he will then change it up and he will have fucking Lamar or Tyler Huntley throw like 20, 30 times. It's like, what the fuck are you doing? And with Tyler Huntley, perfect example last week. The running game was starting to work against the Browns. They were slowly chipping away, and then all of a sudden, Huntley starts dropping back to pass, and that's when disaster struck. And in this case, I feel like disaster is really going to strike if Tyler Huntley is dropping back to pass in this. Because the one thing I do not want to fucking see is him throwing the ball any more than 20 times because that will spell disaster. We need to run the damn ball. Atlanta, they're throwing out their rookie Desmond Ritter because from what I understand, Marcus Mariota pretty much quit on the team. I don't even know if that's true or not, but it feels like he got hurt and then he's like, all right, fucking, I'm done. He pretty much pulled himself. So now they're all in on the rookie. So it does help Baltimore in that aspect, but I am nervous because they're throwing in a backup quarterback who is okay, but I mean, let's be honest, he can't fucking throw. He's a guy that can run, and running is going to be the game plan here. And Atlanta's run defense is not all that bad. I mean, I've seen worse. I've seen a lot worse actually. So yeah, I'm gonna have to go with Atlanta here. Just because with Tyler Huntley, I don't. It's not that I don't trust him. I don't trust him in Greg Roman's system because if you saw the game with the Browns last year, that's pretty much been the Ravens all year.
Yeah, so I'm showing the over under at 34 and a half, and I don't
Yes.
like that either way.
I would go under personally because the Ravens cannot score. I don't know what the fuck happened. I don't know why they went from a team they went from a team that would go up by 2 3 touchdowns, but and then all of a sudden they're playing old school Ravens football where they're running the fucking thing. It's low scoring and we're relying on the defense to win, and you can't win ball games like that today with everybody throwing through the air. So for me, I don't trust the Ravens in the spot or that -6.5. I'm with you. I could see an upset here, and I mean a big upset.
Now, I can kind of see an upset too. My thing with the Ravens is they have good running backs when they're healthy. They're always hurt.
Right.
So I've drafted Dobbins. I'm tired of Dobbins. I want him off my fantasy team for the rest of
Yes.
my life. I
Do-
never want to look at him again.
Man, Dobbins is snake bitten. That's somebody I would leave off fantasy. I wouldn't bet money on him. They just lost Devin Duvernay, one of their top receivers who went to the Pro Bowl. They just lost him in practice earlier this year. He's done now. I believe Gus Edwards, the other running back, something is not right with him because when I watch him run, it's not like the old Leon. I mean, not Leon Edwards, Gus Edwards. It's not the it's not the old Gus Edwards where he's a guy that can lower his head and just run through people. Now he's hesitant and he's not running. He's not running like a bruiser anymore. And along with that, it just seems as if the receivers of the Ravens are a big fucking problem. Like James Prochet drops a lot of fucking passes. They've lost Rashad Bateman for the year. Um, the receivers they have in now, I couldn't tell you their names, but whenever the ball is thrown their way, they're dropping these motherfucking things. And it's to a point where the tight ends are getting all the targets. Isaiah Likely, Mark Andrews, those guys. But I'm with you. The receivers are terrible. The running backs are good when healthy, but because the running backs are injured every fucking year, the running game goes to shit. It basically falls on Lamar, which is terrible news. We want Lamar to run, but we don't want that man basically running the run game like Josh Allen is doing in fucking Buffalo. You don't want any of that. So yeah, I'm thinking Atlanta. I can, you know what, if Atlanta's gonna win, because I have seen Desmond Ritter in college. What I've seen from him in the pros, I've seen a lot of promise. Like he's got the potential there, but you can tell he needs work. I think if Atlanta keeps Baltimore out of the end zone, or at least holds them to Justin Tucker field goals, not only is that under going to hit, I could see Atlanta hitting 6.5.
I see Atlanta hitting 6.5 for sure. I don't know
Absolutely.
about that under. I guess I'll go under for now, but very nervous about it. I
Yeah,
don't think Atlanta can score either, though. That's my problem.
that's
And I
true.
have
That is
I
true.
have Gus Edwards in a few fantasy leagues, and he turned in from Gus the Bus to Gus the Prius. And it drives me insane every time I see him. It's like, dude, run into the line. You're so fucking big, dude. Just run in.
Right. He's like the biggest back on the team other than Ricard, and that's my problem with him. Like the old Gus would run at the line, and for some reason this season, bro, he's all of a sudden, like you said, he's not Gus Bus. He's a fucking Prius now. He doesn't want to run into anybody, and it's just mind blowing, is it?
Now, what do you do with, since I have the Ravens game on,
Right.
what would you do with Lamar? Are
Oh,
you signing him? You're not signing him?
oh man, it's tough, but you know what? I'm gonna I would sign him only because when you look at the market of quarterbacks, it's kind of tough to find one that does what he does. What I would do though, I would sign him and I would not only fire Harbaugh, I'd fire the fucking offensive coordinator because they haven't done him any good service at all. We've seen what he can do when he's just allowed to go out there and do his thing. But if he has Greg Roman calling like the plays for him, it's a disaster. Dude will go
Yeah,
from it'll be from a sufficient running offense to a wide open pass offense, and you're like, wait a minute, what the fuck are you doing? Next thing you know, Lamar's fumbling the ball, he's throwing a pick, and everything just falls to shit. And I never quite understand what Greg Roman's thinking is behind it, but that's what I would do, man. I would sign Lamar because you need a generational player like that. And another thing I would fucking do, I would sign him and I would sign Roquan Smith because that's the other guy that needs to get paid. I would cut just about everybody else. Like just about everybody else. I would either consider cutting or I would see if I can maybe trade for some fucking value or something because those are the two pieces that the Ravens need to build for the future, especially Lamar. But yeah, they're gonna need a fucking overhaul in this coaching staff because they haven't done him any favors at all. They've kind of backed him into a corner to where he's had to kind of do a lot of this shit on his own, like call his own plays and audibles on the field, and pretty much go against what Greg Roman calls. And once you start to see players go rogue on the play calling, that's not good.
true.
That is
My
usually not
problem
good.
with my problem with Harbaugh is if you don't fire him, you will never get like a top 5 pick because he's good enough to where you'll be in that middle range, like 7 and 8 or whatever.
Right.
You'll never be bottom 5. But something has to change. Fire the OC for sure. Get him the hell out of town
Oh,
because he's doing a disservice to Lamar.
I agree, man. Greg Roman's play calling doesn't make any sense to me because the running game will start to work and then he will go away from it because he's feeling confident in how the team's playing and he'll switch to the pass and it's like, what the fuck are you doing? You're down at the goal line. You keep running it until you score. And we've seen this shit. And another thing that's really annoying is when they go for it on fourth down. Like if it's fourth and no, not going for it on fourth down. The 2 point conversions. These motherfuckers will go for two more than any team I've ever seen, and it's failed more than it's been successful. And a lot of that is Greg Roman shit too, because they're like, oh, we want to extend the lead and all that. Yeah, like you said, man, it's a clusterfuck when as soon as Greg Roman starts calling plays for them. So with the Ravens this week, no Lamar means not a lot of faith. I'm going to have to go Atlanta. And as long as Greg Roman is calling the plays, I don't even see the Ravens getting far if they go to the playoffs. I see them being one and done, to be honest.
I do too. You know what Greg Roman reminds me of? It reminds me he's like calling the offensive plays if Joe Flacco was still back there. It's
Oh,
like, dude, mix it up.
man, that is a perfect comparison too, because I will never forget those Joe Flacco ran offenses with that motherfucker calling the plays. And I would be so tempted to throw my remote at the TV. It's like, what the hell are you guys doing? Funny enough, Joe
Uh,
Flacco's ass is now in New York sitting on that bench. He'll probably be out there soon because Zach's getting the shit beat out of him out there.
he
Oh,
is good enough to be out there, but that's it.
that is true. That is a very good point. Oh, man. Now, this next game right here, we had just talked about the 49ers, but the Commanders. Now, here's another team that looked like they had some promise, but, it's just typical Commander football. Uh, I like it now with Heineke. I think he's done okay. He's done a good enough job to where he's kind of gotten them over some games where they probably should have lost. They absolutely got fucking robbed by those referees last weekend though. They got fucked over by the refs, especially with that pass interference call where the receiver was fucking tackled in the end zone and shit. Uh, but I love their running game as well with Brian Robinson Jr. I like what Washington does from the offensive side of the ball. My concern for them is can they contain this Mr. Irrelevant fucking rookie that's carving up defenses and making Brady look like a fucking fool. They need to shut this guy down because if they don't shut him down, the 49ers are not only going to win, they're probably going to beat the shit out of Washington by at least 2-3 touchdowns because this could very well get ugly. When I think about Washington's defense, they're very good, but the thing is, if Washington's offense hits a point where they are not lighting up the scoreboard, them motherfuckers are going to be gassed by the third quarter, and that Mr. Irrelevant rookie is going to start to look like Joe Montana out there.
Yeah, I think McCaffrey's going to break through at some point for the Niners. I trust their defense more than the Commanders. The Commanders have been playing pretty well. It's just I don't think they can score that much against the 49ers to win this game is my only thing.
I agree. I agree. They're definitely not going to score enough against the 49ers because they have a pretty solid defense. And another thing is like with the Washington offense. I've always felt as if Terry McLaurin should have a much bigger role in the offense than he does. I like what they do with the running game, and I like that they feature him a lot in the past. And of course, they have the rookie Dotson who does pretty good. But I feel as if with McLaurin, they need to set that man up for success a lot more because he's pretty much a franchise wideout for them. And with Carson Wentz out there, obviously they weren't going to go anywhere. But with a guy like Heineke, my only problem with Heineke is I don't think he has the fucking arm to get McLaurin those game breaking passes. If that makes any sense.
It does, yeah. I don't think
Yeah,
he has it either, but
it's kind of, and,
you know
and
he's a fine, serviceable quarterback for now.
yeah, and you know what? I think when Sam Howell is ready, the QB they drafted from North Carolina, he actually has a pretty decent arm. I think he's a little stronger than Heineke on the throws. When he's ready to go, they're gonna have something there. But I'm with you. Heineke is gonna be serviceable for now. To be honest with you, though, I kind of thought the Commanders. To be honest with you, I thought they would sort of tank this year because when you think about it, they never really had a playoff team set. Chase Young never played this year. I believe Chase Young is actually making his season debut this weekend, funny enough. So they don't have their cornerstone on defense until now. Uh, they have Carson Wentz, but Wentz is not the QB to get you over the hump. I mean, he was one and done in Indianapolis. They didn't want that motherfucker after one season. But then again, after watching Matt Ryan blow another lead, I guess they fucking wish they did have his ass. But you know, like it seems as if Washington was maybe primed for the future because they drafted the new quarterback. They had some weapons. They were going through an identity change as well with that terrible name, the Commanders. I don't know who the fuck picked that. Um, but it kind of felt like a transitional year for the Commanders. I didn't expect a lot of this success. I kind of wish they, maybe tank so they can get a better draft pick. But here's the problem: now they're gonna get like a middle of the road draft pick this year, and they're kind of gonna be in the same spot. So where they are now, they not only need this win, they need to win every game for the rest of the season because they can't afford any more losses. The tie really fucking hurt them. And if they want to be a playoff team, then the time is right now for them to take it. I just don't think they got what it takes, which is why I'm going to pick San Fran. And to be honest, I can see the over hitting. I don't know if Washington is going to cover though, because I think this could get very ugly.
Yeah, no, I'm going San Fran easy. I like that over because I think they're going to score points against Washington.
Oh yeah,
And yeah, I think Washington overachieved this year.
yeah.
I didn't think they had many expectations going into the season. I mean, their running back even got shot. I forgot about that.
Yeah, that's right. Brian Robinson Jr. He was shot right in D.C. Funny enough, right in my neck of the woods. He was shot out there while somebody tried to rob his ass. And then he ended up coming back and actually having one of the better, actually having not just a better season, but he's still a really good football player despite being shot 3 times, which is something you don't expect to see. I thought for sure he was done after that.
Oh no, he looks pretty good though. Like
He
they have a
does.
good team for the future. I just didn't think it would be this early.
Right. Same here, man. I definitely didn't expect it to be this early. I got to be honest with that. And funny enough, since we both picked San Fran, staying in the division, the Eagles and Cowboys. I'm pretty sure you heard the news through the grapevine, but there's a big wrinkle in this game now. And in a way, they kind of don't need him because they already have the division wrapped up. But Jalen Hurts is injured, and he's actually going to be out for this game. And it's important because the Eagles have a 3-game lead. The Cowboys are firmly in second place here, but I imagine the Cowboys need some momentum just to stay alive. Not to stay alive, but to keep their playoff momentum alive. Because we've seen this with the Cowboys. They'll bottom out like the second half of the year. They'll get in the playoffs and they'll fucking choke. Losing to Jacksonville killed them. That Jacksonville overtime loss was a stunner. The fact that they were taking teams out left and right. They took out first place, the Vikings. They took out their division rival, the Giants. They took out the Colts big time. They barely survived Houston. The fact that they barely survived Houston should have been a sign that Jacksonville was going to beat them. And then Jacksonville fucking goes out there and beats them. Dallas needs to not only win this game, but they need to win out because for them, if they want to truly go to the Super Bowl, they need momentum. They need to have those momentum wins and stack them up back to back to back. They were starting to get it, but that overtime loss to the Jaguars just fucking killed them. So this is important for them to get it back. And as for the Eagles, I mean, at this point, they're just asking Gardner Minshew to hold down the fort until the playoffs. So really, this is a big one for the Cowboys. But with that being said, I'm actually going to go to the Cowboys here. I don't know what to think about Gardner Minshew. Last time we saw him was in Jacksonville, and that shit was not. Actually, wait, I believe it was Jacksonville where he came from. So yeah, I believe it ended too well.
Had to have been Jacksonville. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like it was, and it just didn't end well there. So I'm gonna have to go with Dallas on this. They need to bounce back. The line is only at 4.5, and the over unders at 46.5. I don't know if Minshew is gonna light up that scoreboard. They have enough weapons to do it, but at the end of the day, you need the quarterback there. So I'm gonna go. I'm gonna I'm gonna lean under. I'm gonna go under, but I'm also gonna pick Dallas. I think Dallas gets it done. What do you think?
I just want to circle back to the Ravens Falcons. So I am
Oh,
seeing
sure.
tickets as low as $3 for that game. So I mean
Really?
that just tells you what kind of barn burner it is.
Yo, that's crazy. $3 for that?
Yep.
Holy shit! And you know what's funny? Harbaugh had the press conference where I think he took a shot at the fans after they it was somebody I think actually it's funny the Ravens facility is close to where like my childhood home was, and apparently I saw this video where somebody threw these like pieces of paper down on the lawn and it said fire Greg Roman. And fucking Harbaugh went off on the fans for that. So I think the fact that and the fact that it's going to be fucking cold are probably why tickets are so cheap, because a lot of people are like, yeah, we don't want to see this team choke in the bottom half of the year, because a lot of fans are starting to feel it.
Certainly not with two backup quarterbacks playing.
Absolutely. Oh, trust me, it's going to be a shit fest, man. The fact that Lamar was not playing in this game took the energy out of it for me, because I'm thinking, okay, Ravens can get win number 10. They can start the push for the playoffs, and we can get this team finally rolling because they've been struggling. But no, now they're going to throw out Huntley again, and honestly, I see this being a Justin Tucker game where he just kicks
True.
fucking 4 or 5 field goals and then they call it a day.
4 or 5 field goals win someone their fantasy week.
Right. Oh
Yeah.
man.
So I think I like the Cowboys. I'm a little concerned about the Cowboys though, because
Hmm.
I think this game matters more to them than the Eagles. Because
Yes.
if the Cowboys lose to the Eagles with their backup quarterback, their Super Bowl hopes are done. Because there's no way
Hmm.
they can like psychologically recover from losing to the Eagles with their backup quarterback at home.
That makes sense, man. It makes a lot of sense because like you said, losing to the Eagles is one thing, but losing to their backup quarterback, that's going to take out the momentum for the playoffs. Like the Dallas, like I mentioned before, needs that momentum, and like you said, if they lose to fucking Gardner Minshew, they're gonna be in the playoffs, but them motherfuckers might be one and done. They might
Yeah, they
be.
might be one and done. I'm going Cowboys.
Same here. I'm gonna go Cowboys. I think they can. I think they can get it done in this spot. And honestly, this is their best chance to do it with Jalen Hurts out. And oh boy, this game's gonna suck. The fucking night game. Oh god. Both these teams are 6-8, but I do have to mention, uh, the Raiders are probably the biggest disappointment. Well, one of the bigger disappointments in the AFC West, because that was a team where when they got Devontae Adams over from Green Bay, when they finally hired a reputable coach, it felt as if there was going to be a bit of a shift in Las Vegas. But as it turned out, that interim coach they had for Vegas, they're probably better off with that guy than fucking McDaniels, because he hasn't done the best job this year, even with the lucky win last week. Fucking Pittsburgh is favored by 2.5. So the Vegas is the dog here, but I wonder in a game like this, it, do you think the Raiders can actually pull it out? Because really, this is their technically they're already well. Hold on, let me see if they're technically out of it. I don't believe they are. Let me see.
I don't
No,
think they are.
no, they're not. But I believe a loss. Oh yeah, they're definitely not because the Broncos got the last spot. But I believe a loss here means mathematically they're out of it, right?
I
I
think so.
I
This is
think
a
so.
terrible game, though, right?
It is 6-8 versus 6-8. Yeah, this is fucking awful.
This is a terrible way to start Christmas Eve. I guess I like the Raiders personally. I don't know why. I just have a feeling they're going to win.
Yeah, I'm thinking the Raiders are gonna have a better game. My problem with with Pittsburgh is Kenny Pickett. He looks like he's going to be fine maybe next season, season after that, but this season hasn't been it. And picking up Mitchell Trubisky was a waste of time because he never was good, and I don't know why Tomlin thought he could fix him, because he never had any tools like to begin with. You know what I mean? Like with some quarterbacks, you can tell they have it. They're just on the wrong team and the wrong system. With Mitch Trubisky, I never really saw him as the guy.
No, I don't think he was the guy. That move didn't make sense to me at all. It's like
Yeah,
you have a young quarterback coming in. It's like, well, let him learn on the fly. Why are you going to start Mitch? You already know what you have in him.
exactly, and it makes so much fucking sense, man. To to just see what they have. Because like with Mitch, it's like we know the story with that guy, and really nothing really changed in Pittsburgh. It was pretty much all the same. So I'm right there with you. Never quite understood why they did that. Let's see. So you and I are both on the Raiders there. Pittsburgh is at -2.5. That shit's gonna be a fucking upset, man. Raiders are gonna get that, and I can see the under hitting because both teams are struggling right. Actually, no wait. I could see the Las Vegas maybe lighten it up a little bit, not too much though, but just a little bit because the over unders at 38.5. So
Yeah, that under's a little too low. I'll take that over.
yeah, I was
But
about to say yeah the
Raiders,
over.
Raiders, I hope they win. If they don't, well, I don't know. But Josh Jacobs has been running the ball really well. Derek Carr is in a good rhythm right now. Devontae Adams is
Mm.
all right.
Right, right. And actually, I do agree with you. I do believe the over is actually the better move there now that I look at the line and think about it. It certainly seems like it's going to be a boring game either way, but yeah, I think our over is at least going to hit, and the Raiders should take that one. Oh boy, now here goes the Christmas Day lineup that people will only watch if they truly hate their families. It'll be the test to see if like basically the love of family at this stage. Packers and Dolphins. Not the worst game in the world, not the best one either. I would say must win for Miami though. Miami needs this shit. They lost the heartbreaker to the Buffalo Bills recently. Really, they've lost their last three. Lost to San Fran, lost to Chargers, and to Buffalo. Those are terrible fucking losses to have. And their last win was against Houston. They have some fucking work to do. For Green Bay, they've won their last two against very soft teams in the fucking Rams and the Bears. Last one was against actually no, last loss was against the Eagles. Um, I'm going to pick Miami here, but my thing is this: fucking Tua has done very. He's been okay this season. Like, well, not okay. He's actually done good this season. What I wonder about with Tua though, and what I wonder about with Miami, uh, how is this team going to look in a playoff run? I am curious to see how they're going to look in a playoff situation because they've been so hot and cold this year that I don't really know whether to make heads or tails of them in a playoff scenario. It's one of those things where when they do get to the playoffs, I'm going to have to sit back and see how they do in order for me to judge them in the playoffs moving forward. What do you see with Miami? Because they're the team that truly has something to gain here. I think that even though Green Bay is technically in it at 6-8, I mean, the season just doesn't feel like a 6-8 season. It feels more like a 4-10 season, to be honest.
Yeah, I think Miami lost their shot to get the number one seed, and I think that's where their playoff hopes failed. Like, I can see them going into the playoffs, but right now they would be playing Kansas City, which I don't like that matchup for them.
Oh yeah.
And even if they did jump ahead, they'd be playing the Bengals. I think their best shot to win in the playoffs would have been having the home field advantage, not having to play any of these cold weather teams.
It makes sense, man, because like you said, Tua in cold weather is not a good combination. Tua's little brother is actually the quarterback for the University of Maryland, and Tua's little brother is actually very good. But just like with the older Tua, you put that man in cold weather and he just folds like a suitcase. It's not pretty. It's not pretty. In this scenario, since they are going to be, let's see, they are in Miami. Let's see, what's the weather? Oh, 55. Oh, 55 and raining on Christmas Day in Miami. Oh, that's fucking beautiful weather for them.
I'll trade that in for this weather. Yeah.
Oh, no doubt about that. I will gladly take that. The over under surprisingly for this is 50 points. I didn't expect to see that. I thought it'd be a little lower than that, to be honest. I thought it'd be in the 30s. I still think Miami takes it though. Who do you like here?
I think I like Miami. That's a lot of points for
Yeah.
Christmas Day game, though. I don't know if I like that. I think I'll go with the over just because it is that high.
Yeah, that is surprisingly high, like you said, for a Christmas game. I imagine bettors are probably thinking Rodgers is gonna fucking wake up and get his rookie receiver involved, get Aaron Jones involved, And of course, the Dolphins are likely just gonna light it up with Tua and fucking Hill just putting up points. So I could see that. I think the over makes sense, and yeah, let's go Miami.
Yeah, because I know the Packers are 2-1 in their last three, but I don't really trust the wins against the Rams or the Bears.
Yeah, I was about to say a win over the Rams and a win over the Bears at this stage, like you said, kind of meaningless at this point in time. So I'm right there with you. We can't put too much stock in that.
No, and I mean the Dolphins are 0-3, but they've lost to the Bills, the Chargers, and the Niners. All three great teams, so it's like we can't really fault them too much.
That's true. And you know what? I do believe that when it is playoff time, I do believe they are going to show up. What I want to see is how they're going to perform there, obviously, since it is going to be their first year as a playoff unit. But I'm right there with you, though. Definitely a team that has nothing but potential for the future. Well, not just for the future, but for now. And if anything, I like them when it comes to playoff time. I think they're going to do very well. Let's see what are they? Let me scroll up here. Okay, so they finished second. I was wondering where they finished. So they're in second right now. So yeah, that's not bad at all. They're probably gonna clinch if not this week, next week probably. If anything.
Yeah.
Oh
Do
shit.
you like Tua going forward?
I do if Tyreek Hill is healthy and if all those weapons are healthy. I feel like if all those weapons are away from Tua, then things are gonna get ugly.
Yeah, I'm not sure if I trust him or not yet. I still need to see more.
Yeah, I'm with you too. Like if we're talking about him by himself, no. But like with the weapons, I like his chances. But I'm with you though. If we're just talking about Tua putting the game on his back in that situation, nah, not yet, not yet. I think he's close
True.
though. I think he's close though. He's got some work to do. But I actually agree with you. I think in due time we'll see if he's truly that guy or not.
Tua or Kirk Cousins, who would you choose?
Oh man. You know what? I'm gonna go with Tua because with Kirk Cousins, we know for a fact that in clutch situations he chokes. It's like we kind of know what he is at this point. With Tua, there's still a lot of unknown, but I'm willing to go on that journey just to see just see what's there.
I think I have to agree with you. I hate Kirk Cousins. Kirk Cousins has cost me so much money in the past. He just gags up every time he gets a chance.
He does, man. He's one of the worst clutch time quarterbacks I think in NFL history. He's got to be. I've never
He
seen a guy
has to be.
has to be. I've never seen somebody like fold up in prime time the way he does. If it's a normal game, he's good, but if you put the spotlight on him, he just doesn't respond to it, and it's absolutely mind blowing to me.
No, he drives me insane. Ever since he was in Washington, it's like, okay, you had a good year, come from Michigan State, solid team. And then it's like, I don't know. I want to dislike him, but I can't. But I really can't like him.
Yeah, it's hard. It's hard to like him. Like it's hard to dislike him, obviously, because he's somebody that works very hard. But it's hard to like him when you know in important situations you can't count on him, and that's the worst thing in the world when you can't count on a guy like that.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Now, this second game on Christmas Day, this is going to be the miserable game of the day, in my opinion. This will probably be I'm going to call this the tank bowl of the day. These are two teams that need a tank. These are going to be the battle of losers. And by the way, this game is so bad, Russell Wilson is actually not playing in it. Oh, no, wait. It says he returns as. Oh, so wait, Wilson is returning. And that was as of 8 hours ago. I saw something else where he was going to be out. So this is going to be Russell Wilson versus Baker Mayfield. Oh Lord. Uh, well, at least it's better than Baker Mayfield versus a backup I've never heard of. But even so, Denver is favored by 2.5. But that sounds so fucking weird to say out loud when you hear the season, when you know the season they've had. The over unders 36.5. Who like now? Obviously, we're gonna keep this one off our boards because I think everybody that's gonna be putting money down is gonna keep this one off the board. But if you're just gonna pick one just for the fuck of it, who would you go? Because this is difficult. Do you ride with Baker or do you ride with Russell, knowing what he's done the lack of what he's done this year?
Well, I mean, I love Russell Wilson, so I have to ride with Russell, and I hate the Rams. So I'm taking the Broncos on the road. Is this a game where you drop your stepkids off? It has to be, right?
Yes, this is the 4:30 game where you got to drop the kids off. You can have the family dinner at this time. You can fucking, you know what I mean? If you wanted like to have anybody over for any random reason, this is the game. Like this is the game you put in the background when everybody's eating, and then you like peek your head in there, just look at the score and see if it's terrible or not.
Exactly. And then it's going to be like 3-6, third quarter, and you're like, okay,
Oh
just as
my
I
god.
expected.
Worst part is it's going to be in LA. I can think of about like 30 different things that you can do in LA other than see this game at 4:30 in the afternoon or 1 p.m. out there.
And I mean, other than that stadium being super new, I mean, I'm guessing tickets, they probably had to give tickets away for this.
Oh, no question about it. And you know what's funny? Beginning of the season, Stafford versus Wilson sounds like a fun quarterback matchup. Now Stafford has a concussion and Wilson has underperformed. So you know ticket sales absolutely went in the toilet. They probably, you know what, the scalpers are probably they're probably giving them away for free because they know nobody wants to buy
Hey, I mean, the scalpers are out of a job at this point because, I mean, no one's picking up those tickets.
it. You got that right, man. Motherfuckers are throwing them in the trash if they get them. I'm gonna, I'm gonna have to, you know what? I'm gonna have to ride with you on this one. I'm gonna go with the Broncos here, but Russ, that man better be fucking cooking something on Christmas Day because if not, it's gonna be a very ugly game. It sucks that there's no college bowl game on Christmas Day because this would honestly, with this NFL lineup, there needs to be some sort of bowl game to cleanse our eyes of this terrible lineup.
There has to be something. I don't like watching NBA this early in the season, but I'm going to have to
Yeah.
turn to the NBA because I'm not going to watch that Broncos Rams game. There's no way.
Yeah, I'm with you. I usually don't tune into like basketball until it's like close to the playoff time. Usually that's when I'm in, or I'll go in right when football ends, and then just kind of catch up. But I'm with you. I think this might have to be an NBA day, and especially with this night game. Oh, this is even worse. Buccaneers and Cardinals. Now this is what sucks. There's no Kyler Murray, and Tom Brady. I mean, you want to talk about a guy who's not only stressed, but looks like a shell of himself. The man's personal life has bled into the spotlight, and as a result, his performances have suffered. His team has racked up numerous injuries. They have lost two in a row to Cincinnati and New Orleans. Cincinnati and San Fran. Their last win was against New Orleans, a terrible New Orleans team. As for the Cardinals, they haven't won a game since November 13th when they beat the Rams. They have lost to the 49ers, Chargers, Patriots, and the Broncos all back to back to back to back. That's fucking terrible. This is as bad of a matchup as you could possibly put on Christmas night, nonetheless. Like, this is when everybody's full of food, they're hungover. The kids are probably playing with their fucking toys that they're going to be bored of in a few days. This is where, like, everybody that's been drinking beer at dinner time is probably passed out sleep from all the drinking and the food. You know what I mean? Like this is the game that's going to be on in the background as well, and you're only going to see it when you wake up from your food coma and you're like, "Oh shit, there's a fucking game on tonight. I forgot." And you look up and you see Tom Brady throwing another tablet as he throws his second interception on the day. Oh, this is bad. 7.5 spread. 40.5 on the over under. You know what? I I ordinarily would have gone over because with Brady he's going to score, and obviously Cliff Kingsbury with that Texas Tech offense he's brought to the Cardinals. You know he's going to put up points or at least try to. But both of these teams have underperformed so much. I don't even trust them to put up enough points to cover the over.
I kind of like the over just because, why not?
Right.
It could be one of those random games that's like 37-20.
I'm
I have a funny feeling it's going to be that. Now, which team has 37? I have no idea because the Bucks are all over the map. No Kyler Murray for the Cardinals. It's like I don't really trust Kingsbury as coach. He
yeah.
sucks. He's terrible. I don't even know why they hired him because
Yeah.
when they hired him, Texas Tech was like 7-6. They were something awful.
And I'm pretty sure he had a losing record at Texas Tech, didn't he? Or close to it?
I think he did, and then I mean that offense. Or, I mean, not the offense. The defense was fucking god awful. They
Oh
were
man.
allowing like 400 yards a game. It's like, how do you
Yeah.
hire this guy into an NFL system?
Right, and like, and I'm with you. How can you be like, the high octane, entertaining Texas Tech offense that you bring there, but you bring that terrible fucking defense along with it? Because Texas Tech, like you said, they're the team that puts up 60 points, but then they'll give up 60 points and lose by a field goal in fucking three overtimes, and it's just like, are you kidding me? No defense whatsoever. And that's exactly what the Cardinals are. And you would think with the stars that they have on that team, with Hopkins, with James Conner, you would think with some of the names they have on defense, you know what I mean. You would think that maybe they could do something this year. Maybe they can finally get it together. They have enough talent to make something happen. They picked up fucking Hollywood Brown just to replace Hopkins when he had the drug test shit, and you think they would have been fine. And yeah, it's been a disaster. Kyler Murray, by the way, he's not worth that contract that they fucking gave him. They made a mistake by
Oh no,
paying him.
certainly not.
Yeah, hasn't lived up to it yet. Again, very good, but hasn't lived up to the contract. Hasn't really done anything significant yet in the league to earn that money. Not to mention, uh, it seems as if him and Cliff Kingsbury are not a fit, like you mentioned earlier, because they've actually been there are camera shots of them fucking yelling at each other, where they're just like, "Motherfucker, what you're calling is not working." And I don't know what it is, maybe philosophical differences or something, but the Cardinals look like a team that needs to be they need to be a world beater, but they're just not. It just never clicks.
No, it is a bad situation there. And then all the reports is like, well, Kyler Murray doesn't study the playbook. He can't spell cat if you gave him the C and the T. It's like, what is going on here? It's like, he's an NFL quarterback and you guys didn't fucking look this up before you drafted him, that he doesn't study playbooks, doesn't do anything. It's like, who
Yeah,
is fucking running this operation? Someone
exactly.
had to have known this.
Somebody had to have known, man, and you would think a team that finally put it together with some decent names would be able to have some sort of sense into finding a good quarterback. But no, these motherfuckers shot themselves in the foot with it.
Exactly. And Brady can barely move anymore. Like, I don't want to see
Yeah,
him for another season. It's like, dude, it's over. You had a great run. There's no shame in anything you've done. You're the GOAT. There's
right.
no denying that. You are a god amongst men. It's like,
Absolutely.
just hang it up, dude. Go hang out with your fucking family or whoever you want to hang out with.
Absolutely. He has nothing left to prove, and yet he decided to come back and really in the worst time. And here's what's interesting. When he decided to come back, it is interesting that Bruce Arians is like, you know what? I'm gonna step aside. I think even he wanted fucking Brady to not come back because as soon as he said, "All right, I'm gonna step aside, let Todd Bowles handle this," I'm like, this may not end well, and it didn't. This man, they've completely fallen apart, and I don't know what it is besides the Brady thing, but it seems as if the Buccaneers never truly. I guess they were kind of a team that was built to win immediately and not built for the long term. I mean, even minus Brady, because when you look at some of the pieces they have on there, they have some good pieces, but I have a feeling that roster is not going to be the same when they finally get rid of all those contracts at the end of the year.
Exactly. And I like Todd Bowles too, but I don't know why he accepted that job.
Yeah, it's almost as if he took it because he knew he wasn't going to get a job elsewhere, which is a real shame.
It's like, dude, just wait out for another job. It's like, this team isn't going to be the greatest because you got a 45, 46-year-old quarterback running your offense. It's like, dude, just wait out for another job. You'll be fine.
Exactly. Exactly. He was better off doing that. And actually, I'm glad you brought up coaching jobs. So it seems like we're both in on Tampa Bay. This this coaching job over with Indianapolis is puzzling to me as we look at the Chargers and Colts, the final matchup, which is on Monday night. Is it me or does it seem like Jim Irsay had a relapse when he hired Jeff Saturday because he had to be drunk in order for him to think this was a good idea? Because it was
Why?
like they win their first fucking game where they get this guy off of ESPN. He was literally on ESPN talking about how bad the Raiders were, and then literally a week later they hire him off the ESPN desk, and he beats the Raiders. Next thing you know, they get exposed by the Eagles, and then they give up one of the biggest they give up one of the biggest leads, blow one of the biggest leads in NFL history, It's almost as if the Jeff Saturday hire had to be made by a guy that was drunk because the man hasn't had any coaching experience other than high school.
Drunk or high or on cocaine. Do you
Had to
remember a
be.
few years ago when Jeff Saturday, or not Jeff Saturday, Jim Irsay got fucking popped for having like $40,000 in his car, driving around with a whole bunch of drugs at
Oh
like 3
yeah.
a.m. in the morning in Indianapolis?
Oh man, I remember. Oh, I do remember that one. That was like the last big incident I think he had. Like the
Yeah, so I mean, obviously he likes to party, he likes to, toss it around a little bit. So I'm assuming that's what happened. That's what led to this hire. He probably texts Jeff Saturday. He's like, "Hey, you up? You want to coach?"
gotta be that man because not only did it not make sense when they brought that motherfucker in the building, everybody's looking at him like, bro, for real, you were just put in the hall like the Ring of Honor a week ago. Now you're the coach, and honestly, now that the honeymoon basically wore off after they beat the Raiders, which by the way, I still believe McDaniel should have been fired after that, but they can't fire his ass because of all the contracts they put out, all the money they have tied up.
Well,
Uh,
I mean, they have to pay him, and they're still paying Gruden. It's like, dude, just pay him off
yeah.
and get them out of the way.
Right. It's like the fact that they're still paying Gruden tells you everything, man. They're in disarray out there in Vegas. And, the fucking Colts were able to take advantage of it. So now that they've been thoroughly exposed. And in this game, funny enough, the Chargers are actually favored by 4.5 points, and the over-unders at 45.5. I can't help but think that the Colts are not only are they not going to cover, they're going to get their asses beat because at this point, I don't know if we're dealing with a professional team here.
Yeah, I think the Chargers are going to cover and going to win. But I mean, it's like the problem with the Chargers is they always like to play one-score games,
Yes.
and it drives me insane. No matter who they're playing, they could be playing the Chiefs or they could be playing the Texans. They love to play one-score games, which is like, you guys are so talented. Why do you guys drop your level to whatever competition you're playing, or you
Mm.
up your level to your competition? It's like, no, just beat who you have to beat and cover.
I was about to say, what do you think happened to the Chargers this year? Because they were supposed to be the team that really pushed the Chiefs. Because in that division, like the whole division was supposed to be the best in football, but out of every team, like the Chargers, Raiders, Broncos, the Chargers were the ones that had the most potential to become a better team the next season. What do you think happened to them? Because it just didn't fucking happen.
I think it's that SoCal lifestyle, that LA lifestyle. Before then, they were in San Diego. It's like you just get too comfortable. The weather's 70, 80 degrees all the time. You're just chilling. You're just relaxing. Hey, it's Cali. It's beautiful weather. I think you just get a little too comfortable. Injuries start to build up. And then before you know it, there's too many injuries where you can overcome it.
It makes sense, man, because the Chargers at the beginning of the season looked like a team that was finally going to get it together with Herbert and with everything else. But like you said, they just completely fell apart immediately, and they never quite recovered. It's been very up and down of a season for them. And just looking at the last five, they've beaten Tennessee and Miami, which is very good to beat those two teams. But then they lose to the Raiders, which they shouldn't have. They lost to the Chiefs in a close game, which they shouldn't have. And it kind of feels like the Chargers should have been a team that's like not 8-6. I kind of saw them as maybe more of a 10-4, 11 and fucking 3 at this point. Like I saw them with at least double digit wins this season, and the fact that they are like clinging on for life at 8-6, it feels like a disappointment.
No, but that's every year with them, because every year they have the
Yeah.
talent and then they lose top cornerback, top running back. Because Eckler was out for a majority of the season. They lose all these people, throughout the season, and they can never recover from them. I don't know. I think it is that LA lifestyle, because if you talk to someone in LA, they're like, "Hey, what's going on, man?" Whatever. You talk to a dickhead in the Northeast or Northwest that are tired of like shoveling snow, scraping snow off their windshield. They're a little more hardy, they're a little more aggressive.
Yeah.
They're built for injury better.
It's true, man. Hey, tough times make tough people, right? Shit.
Exactly.
Hey man, you ain't lying though, bro. With the Chargers, like you said, had the pieces, but they just never had the iron will, man. Never really had it. I'm gonna
I
go.
want to see like a chart from the early 2000s Chargers up until now, how many injuries per year they've had. Because it's something ridiculous. I know it is.
Yeah, it feels like they've had more injuries than most teams in the AFC. Maybe the Ravens had about equal or more, but they've had more devastating injuries than most teams out there in the West. No
Oh
question
man,
about it.
you guys just have all your running backs hurt every time. Same thing
Yeah.
with Seattle. It's like, okay, we have Rashad Penny hurt, Kenneth Walker hurt, DJ Dallas hurt.
And it's a lot of non-contact injuries too, which is very fucking scary. Because whenever you see them go down and they don't get touched, that's when they're looking at like long-term fucking damage. And I'm like, shit. Because even when these guys come back, like J.K. Dobbins, when Dobbins went down, he's never been the same since then. And like Gus Edwards, when he was injured last year, came back, but yeah, just hasn't had that same fire. It's so weird.
Exactly. Like Chris Carson, great running back a year ago, 2 years ago. Now he's a ghost.
It's true, man. It's full on, bro. It's kind of upsetting to see that they weren't quite able to get back to where they were. You know what I mean?
No, it's always very sad because you think you have a promising player, and it's like, oh man, he's going to do so great for my team,
Right.
and then it's just an injury bug just bites him in the ass. Like Andrew Luck, he said, "No mas, I'm done. I don't want to come back to this. Like I want to have a life after football."
True shit, man. True shit. I'll tell you what, though. It's funny. Actually, it's funny you mention him. Where do the Colts go in terms of quarterbacks? Because Sam Ellinger doesn't seem like the guy. Wentz wasn't it. They're rolling with Ryan, but I believe they just benched his ass after that comeback disaster. So it's like the Colts are kind of back at square one with quarterback again.
Well, it's too early to start tanking for Arch Manning.
Right.
So I think they get a filler quarterback for a few years, even though the fans aren't going to like that. But I
Yeah.
think you get the filler quarterback for the few years, and then you start to tank for Arch Manning.
Oh man, bro, the it's funny. The race you mentioned it too. The race for Arch Manning is gonna be fun to watch because so many teams are gonna try to do a lot of weird shit to try to fucking steal him.
Did you see the? I think it was the Panthers GM said he would beat up his grandma for Arch Manning.
Shit. Oh, you know what? That makes sense coming from him because the Panthers are they're back at fucking square one again. For
Oh yeah,
real.
I mean, there's so many teams. Like if you don't have a quarterback, you're back at square one.
Pretty much, man. Pretty much. They're right back at it. And you know what? I think that alone is why I'm going to pick the Chargers. If I just had to pick one intangible because Matt Ryan has blown so many leads. It goes back to 28-3 in the Super Bowl against the Patriots. This guy's unreliable now, man. Blown.
He's unreliable, and now he's back to back because he blew that lead to the Vikings last year. I don't know
That's
how the
true.
Colts are going to come out too, because it's like you gave up 33 points last week. Are you guys going to come out inspired? Probably not.
Right. It's true, man. It's true. I'm certainly interested in it. I'm gonna be keeping my eye on that game. And it seems like for a lot of these picks, you and I pretty much are on the same. We have the Chargers, we have the Bucks, we have the Broncos. We went Dolphins. Let's see, Raiders, Cowboys. We both went 49ers. Let's see, Falcons. Did you go Panthers or Lions?
I took the Lions.
Nice. Okay, so we went Lions. Let's see. Bengals, Patriots went Bengals. We've got Vikings, Chiefs, Seahawks. Let's see. Titans. Did you go Browns or Saints?
I took the Saints.
Nice. Okay, so
That's
yeah,
such a god awful game. I don't care. I'll take the points.
I know, right? Same here. Fuck it. We may as well take the points. Why not? And then let's see. Bills and Bears. Of course, we got the Bills there. So we pretty much are on the same page with a lot of these. And what I think is if you had to pick out one game that you think is going to be game of the weekend, what do you think it'll be? If you just had to pick one.
Game of the weekend, like just watching it.
Yeah, like overall, if you had to pick one game where you're going to sit down and be like, okay, you know what? I think I can tolerate watching this one.
Ooh, I mean, there's really not many.
Yeah, I was about to say it's tough. It's real tough on this slate. If I had to pick one myself, Maybe Vikings and Giants because Giants have a lot to play for. The Vikings already clinched though, but I think the Giants having something to play for will actually make it an interesting game. But if anything, if I had to pick another one, like maybe another one that I guess has some sort of implications on the line. Let me see. Uh, you know what? I do want to see if the Lions are going to continue their streak. I do want to
Hmm.
see that. So I guess I'll pick the Lions game just because I want to see if the Lions can actually continue winning, which would be pretty good to see. Oh, and before we get out of here, I have to ask you about this because I know you watch college. Who do you think is going to win in the playoff in the two games, and then like who do you think will be national champ? Because I'm like just looking at TCU, Michigan, and Ohio, Georgia. The lines are way too big for me to like kind of look the other way. But I'm thinking the over is going to hit them both. I feel like both are going to be high scoring games. What do you think?
Okay, well, it is Georgia and who, TCU?
Uh
What is the line on that?
oh no, it's Georgia and Ohio State.
Ooh, they dicked me around. Okay, so Georgia, Ohio State. What is the line on that?
The line is Georgia minus 6.5, and the over under is 62 points.
And they really screw you with that. You know, one thing that drives me crazy about college football is they stop the clock after a first down.
Yeah, I
I
don't
think
like
I
that.
think I like that over though.
You know what? I like the over too. I'm with you though. I don't like the fact that they stop the clock too often after first downs. Shit drives me crazy. But I'm with you though. I think the 62 will hit. In a game like this, I have Georgia, but I just looking at the over unders, I'm thinking that's going to be a high scoring game. I noticed for TCU, just looking at that over under, Michigan is obviously favored by 7.5. Their over under is 58.5. I actually think it's going to go over because TCU loves to score and so does Michigan, but my only concern is will that TCU offense be able to keep up with the Michigan defense in keep up with the Michigan offense in the shootout because Michigan's defense is pretty solid.
So for TCU, Michigan, I see 21-24 Michigan win. But
Interesting.
I think TCU will cover, and I think that under is going to hit.
Interesting. Oh, so you're going under. Okay, that's interesting. That's interesting. Because I was looking at that, and while I think TCU can put up a much better fight than the line indicates, I do see a good amount of scoring happening. But hey, the under certainly looks like it would work, especially if TCU makes it close. If TCU makes it close, that under is definitely going to hit. I feel like Michigan's gonna have to take the lead here with the scoring though, because usually when Michigan starts scoring, other teams either try to hang with them or they try to come from behind with them. I think with TCU, they're gonna try to keep it as low as they can, to give themselves a better chance. Because too much of a shootout, I think, will favor Michigan.
Yeah, I'm not going to lie. I kind of like TCU over Michigan. I'm not going to bet it, but I'm going to bet them to cover.
I
But
tell
I
you,
do like TCU on the money line. I don't know if I
really,
really trust the Big Ten this year. They've been up and down all year, so
that's
maybe
true.
it might be a year to fade them.
You know what? That is true. And honestly, if there is a team out of both games where out of both matchups, I do feel like Michigan is the team that could most likely be upset. I don't see Georgia losing to Ohio State. But if I had to pick an upset, TCU and Michigan is not a bad one because I feel like TCU is a much better team than what the odds are giving them credit for.
Now, is Ohio State Georgia the first game, or is TCU Michigan the first game?
So
Because whoever the first game is, I'll judge my betting for the second game on that.
So interesting thing, TCU Michigan's the first one. This is on New Year's Eve, and they're at 4 o'clock. They're the first game, and then Ohio State Georgia's the second game at 8 p.m.
Okay, because if it was Georgia, Ohio State, and Ohio State kicks the shit out of Georgia, I would load up the mortgage on Michigan for sure.
Oh
But
man,
if we are TCU, Michigan,
right.
I think you have to still. For me, I'm probably going to bet TCU still.
And you know what? That's still a good one considering they are the first game. That is actually a good point. So, if you are gonna bet TCU, that's probably the good spot to bet them in. In the primetime game, I don't know about that, but since they're the first one, shit, they probably. And you know what? I bet TCU is going to come out the gate and they're probably like, let's say for example, if they're on defense, I could see them getting a 3-and-out to start the game. If they're on offense, I could see them going down and literally scoring a touchdown on the opening drive, something like that.
I can totally see that. Now, if Michigan blows the doors off of TCU, I might be looking forward to that Ohio State money line a little bit more.
Interesting, interesting. And so,
just because that means a stronger conference, I might lean towards Ohio State.
That is true. Hey, you know what? That is actually not a bad pick. That's not a bad pick. I'm still thinking Georgia's number one, but I'll say this though. Like you said, if Michigan, let's say TCU blows doors off Michigan, all of a sudden Ohio State's going to be looking at Georgia like, oh shit, we got something here. And
I mean, at that point, Georgia is going to jump up to 8.5, 9.5. If TCU blows the doors off of Michigan like that, then yeah.
Oh man, shit. You know what? We may have to keep our eye on that because usually with the playoff, in recent years, like when they first started it, it was blowout central, but it's starting to get a lot more entertaining as the years go by because it used to be the normal blue blood schools in there, and they just it like the first round would be a fucking beat down, and it's like what the fuck. But now you're starting to see some schools like TCU that get in there actually put up a good fight. Unfortunately, Cincinnati didn't against Alabama last year, but in a game like this, TCU can absolutely do some damage to Michigan.
Exactly. I wasn't, upset by Cincinnati getting in. They deserve to be in there. They should have been in there.
Right.
I mean, they just played a better team. There's not much you can do about that.
And that's true. And considering the fact that Alabama is not even in the mix this year, it tells you a lot about a lot of these recruiting classes starting to finally catch up to Saban.
I think so. Well, I mean, I see it in college basketball because I bet college basketball, and it is really hard because the gaps between the blue bloods and like the mid-level programs,
Yeah.
it's shrunk considerably.
Yeah, like when you like for example, when when Maryland Eastern Shore beat Virginia in the opening round of the March Madness tournament, I remember specifically thinking to myself, I always knew UMES. I always knew Maryland. I mean not UMES, fucking shit.
UMBC.
Yeah, UMBC. Thank you, UMBC. And I always knew UMBC as kind of a good basketball team, good basketball program, but I've never seen them as elite. And when they took out Virginia, when they did, I saw that. I said, okay, now they're starting. Now they're starting to make a little bit of stride. And I noticed that with the ever since the fucking transfer portal became a thing and NILs become a thing, it seems as if now every school is starting to take the shit seriously now. Because before it felt like only the blue blood schools were getting all the good recruits, and now all of a sudden across sports you're starting to get all these good recruits that are going to random places now.
Exactly. I have a question. Where is Howard? Because I think that's by you, right?
Yeah, Howard is in DC. That's a DC school.
Okay. I had a bet with a buddy, and he said it was in New York, and I said, I'm pretty sure it's near the DMV area.
Oh no, you're definitely winning that bet, my brother. It's in DC. It's funny you mention that because I believe Cam Newton's brother was actually starting quarterback at Howard. I believe for a little bit, and he was actually one of the better QBs to come out of there. I don't know where he is now, but it's so funny you mention that because I was just reading up on him the other day. But yeah, Howard is it's funny. Howard's actually not bad of a school too. I remember used to.
And
Oh, go ahead.
oh no, and then you guys have the Hoyas there, right?
Oh man, we do, bro. It used to be a prestigious school too. Well, not a prestigious school, a prestigious basketball program when John Thompson was there. Now it's just Patrick Ewing sweating like he's playing in the fourth quarter of a Knicks game, and right, like the fucking Georgetown used to be the school, but now it's like you have Patrick Ewing as the mascot, and it's a bunch of recruits that look at each other like, okay, what the fuck do we do? It's so funny to watch them play now.
I remember those early 2000s Maryland teams too.
They were, man. Maryland squads like in the early 2000s, especially the championship one with Juan Dixon, Lonnie Baxter, and fucking Steve Blake. That was probably one of the more like Maryland basketball teams that I've seen. They recently hired a new coach and they've started to get some new recruits in there, and they're looking okay. But yeah, man, Maryland used to be the basketball school for a little bit there. For a little
Oh,
bit.
that's what I hear, and it's just like that's interesting that everyone comes out of that little area. Like KD came out of there, right? Somewhere around there.
He did, man. He came out of I believe it was Washington D.C. Like right in the D.C. area. He came out. One of the other famous players. Actually, it's funny. I went to high school with a guy named Dante Green who played for the Sacramento Kings for about 7 years. He was just like a regular bench warmer role player guy. I've seen a good amount of people from the area actually make it to the next level. Whether it be like the NBA or even overseas. Like I have a couple friends that have played like in France and shit. So surprisingly, a lot of talent, basketball talent in Maryland, especially in DC. A lot of hidden gems in DC.
I'm probably betting on those France basketball teams. Last night I was up at 2:30 a.m. my time, so 6:30 your time. I was betting Chinese basketball, and then I switched over to Russian hockey, which would be their third league. Oh yeah.
Yo, it's so funny you mention that because I recently picked up a channel on my TV service which actually does show Chinese basketball games. I think it's like Next Level Sports or some shit. And I remember flipping through the channels and I see their games on live all the time. And I'm like, holy shit. I gotta get into that though. I ain't gonna lie, cause I'd rather watch that than the NBA sometimes.
Well, I mean, they try harder than the NBA. And
Yes,
the NBA, by halftime who's going to win the game because they just they give up.
they totally give up, man. It's insane to me how the NBA has changed over the years. It used to be one of the more fun leagues, but now it's just like it's fun during the playoff time. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it is fun during playoff time. And then I grew up as so I have a weird story how I grew up. So I love the Seahawks, but I grew up as a DC sports fan.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Because in my young dumb brain, I thought, okay, well, Seattle's in Washington. I like the Capitals. I like the Nats.
Oh man.
I like the fucking Wizard.
Right.
So and then it's just like, okay, well, I mean, I'm too old now. I'm 32. I can't switch teams.
Right. Shit, I don't blame you though, man. It was, yeah, and you know what? Being a fan of those teams, I would say it's definitely got its ups and downs, especially with the fucking Wizards too. Especially with the Wizards, man.
They're good. They're bad. John Wall, okay. Bradley Beal, okay.
No doubt about it. Hey.
Marcin Polowski or whatever his name was. Gorata. That's what his name was.
Yeah.
I could not remember his name for a second. But yeah, there you go. Gorata.
Oh man, gotta love it, gotta love it. Hey, everybody, we gave you guys our picks, so we definitely thank you all for tuning in. Hey, Teddy, definitely gotta have you on again, brother.
Oh, anytime, brother. You just let me know.
No doubt, my dude. Hey, we may as well talk. We may as well talk some more next week if possible, because as the playoffs are inching closer, it's gonna be a lot more on our plate. Definitely gonna be a lot more on our plate.
Oh, sounds good to me. Even more storylines coming up. I mean, who's out? Who's injured? Who's trying to make the playoffs?
Absolutely. And hey, my brother, definitely would be an honor to have you on next week. We could definitely talk anytime you want. But hey, folks, make sure you rewind to get all of our picks. We appreciate you guys tuning in. Make sure you comment your picks as well. And hey, Teddy and I are going to be talking to you soon. Everybody, have a good one out there. We go.